Something you've also talked about is if you lose that child or if you lose that parent, that you've gotten people to look at their lives and realize that other people took on the parent role, or you took on the parent role of other children in your life, and you work with them until they see it and they're like, wow, I never saw all of these things. Can you just speak on that? Because
I just got to do it in Japan. I just worked with a lady that she believed her mom was always happy, always kind, always sweet, always positive, anything else, and was under 4 years of prolonged grief syndrome, was not able to work, lost her job, mourning 2 hours a day crying under mother's grave, and was basically non-functional.
Okay.
So they brought that in as a case for me to dissolve in front of the breakthrough experience.
And earlier you said no one should grieve more than 3 hours.
Well, I've never seen it take more than 3 hours.
Right.
Hers was about 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay.
Hers was a tough case, primarily because I had to go through a translator to go back and forth through the translation. If I just talked to her in English, it would have been probably 2 hours and 10 minutes or something.
Okay, so she had 4 years, she had been...
4 years running a story about her mother being all one-sided.
Okay.
There is no such thing as a person all one-sided. If I came to you and I said, you're always positive, never negative. No. Always nice, never mean. No. Always peaceful, never wrathful. No. Always giving, never taking. No. You're a human being. Sometimes you give, sometimes you take. Sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're mean. Sometimes you're kind, sometimes you're cruel. We are both. And when we embrace both and honor both, we can love ourselves. Otherwise, we're going to try to get rid of half of our life and get rid of half of other people and get rid of half of society. Never going to work. That's the fantasy of the amygdala that people are trapped in and the opium of the masses that are sold to them. But the reality is that sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're kind, sometimes you're cruel. So I had to go in there and go to a moment where she did not see a smile on her mom's face. And I stacked those up and stacked those up and stacked those up until she popped the idea that her mom's always happy and smiling. And she goes, I blocked that out. The amygdala, in order to capture prey, creates a false positive because a false positive allows you to sustain yourself. If you're out there in the wild and you see some animal in the jungle or whatever, a pattern, it's better to err on a false positive and assume that it is there than to assume it's not. Or otherwise you miss out on eating, or if it's predator, you get eaten. So we automatically distort things with false positives and exaggerate and dramatize things in order to get our adrenaline going to capture the prey and avoid the predator. So she had created a fantasy about who her mom was, right, and dramatized that and created her own nemesis, her own grief. So I just made her go in and ask. I didn't make her to make anything up. I didn't ask for anything that wasn't true. I just made her conscious of what she was unconscious of. Go to a moment where and when you perceive your mom frowning, not smiling. And we started stacking them up. And when she says it's always that way, it's infinity over 1. So when I show her this, it's now infinity over 2, infinity over 3, infinity over there. And all of a sudden, her mind goes from always to, oh, there's just as many frowns as there are smiles in this woman when we get to the truth. And when I got stacked up there, I went, now let's go to the thing that you said she was nice. Let's go to a moment when she was challenged. You did things that challenge her values, and she played out the mean role to you. And we did the same thing. And when she did that, I said, right now, the grief is already going down, isn't it? She goes, yes. I'm not feeling such an intrusive thought about it. And I said, now, let's go to a moment when she's actually smiling. Great. What's the downside of that? She says, well, how can it be a downside? They're happy, they're smiling. What's the downside of that? And she goes,
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
I'm having to do what she wants me to do each time that's happening. She's manipulating me with her smile. And she goes, And then I'm under pressure. And then I'm late. I'm not interacting with my friends. I'm having to do the cooking. I'm now feeling like I've got to help her financially. And she started thinking some of the downside that she was unaware of. And we did it. And I'm not trying to ask her to do something that's not there. She's pushed under the rug and created a fantasy and then having grief. So I said, what are the downsides? And when the downsides equal the benefits, the up and down sides were balanced. She had a tear, and a tear came, and all of a sudden she realized, I really created a fantasy about my mom that's not even the whole story. And I said, exactly. You created a fantasy that your mom is always up and always happy and always smiling and this and that, and you never stopped and looked at where she had the opposite. You never stopped and looked at what were the downsides of that. And I didn't ask you to make anything up. I don't want you to force yourself to do it. I just want you to look, and you can find it. And when you do, all of a sudden she goes, now that I think about it, I put my life on hold because of those things. I have never gotten married. I don't have any kids. My mom has been my child because of this infatuation. I've been mothering my mom. I've stopped my career. I've stopped my relationship dynamics. And now because of this loss, I'm having to depend on other people. And then she stopped and just realized something. And then she realized this had nothing to do with her mom. This has everything to do with her perception of her mom. Her mom is a loving individual that has both sides. She fabricated this one side and then minimized herself and then sacrificed altruistically for this mother and then was not aware of it and then grieved over the loss. So I went in there and I balanced the equation. I found out who showed up in her life when her mom passed, who started giving her the smile. And we had 37 people that showed up in her life in order to balance that. 37 it took. That's way more than normal. 37 people showed up. Each one of the traits, we found out who came into her life to play that role. Because nothing's missing, it just changes form. The window's shut, the door opens. When she saw all the people that came on, I then asked, what's the benefit of them doing it? And what was the drawback when your mom did it? Until they're both neither positive nor negative. At the end, I said, as she's having tears of gratitude and feeling the presence of her mom, I said, what's happening with the grief? And she goes, I feel the presence of my mom. Close your eyes, see your mom. What do you want to tell her? Thank you for being in my life and what you've taught me. You've been a lesson in my life, and I now set you free. I love you. And that was it. And all that grief was gone. 4+ years of grief, gone. And that took 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.